What's up, y'all? I'm taking over for the day. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking over. Not her. I'm taking over. So look. Look what I got cooking up, though. You see it, though? You see it, though? You see it. So we got beans cooking up right now. We got beans cooking up, so. Frijoles. Yep, you know what I'm saying? I got that little white boy accent in me, so. But I'm about to be taking over this shit, so y'all stay tuned after when this is gonna be done. Chef AJ in the house, boy.
Can you be AJ? Chef
nah,
first?
don't even listen to her. It's Chef AJ in the house. Once all this is done, for the time being, y'all gonna watch me play Madden with it. Y'all gonna, hey, whoever plays Madden, drop the usernames below, cause I'll play y'all. For him too. Hey, be cool, man. Yeah, like I said, if y'all play Madden, drop y'all usernames. I'll play you or my brother will play you. Watch it. I guess I'll let her slide in the kitchen with me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess I'll let her cook with me. Ugly ass slap. Watch, y'all gonna see me play this.
I'm gonna do a lot of editing that.
Y'all gonna see that? Alright, watch. Yep. Y'all see it though? Alright, watch this. Gotta stop it. Come on, quit playing with me. Get it from the ground. Quit playing with me.
He's gonna record mine.
Hello.
So you have to say goodbye.
Bye. What's up?
Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing a cooking tutorial. I'm going to be making asada with green chili and some homemade Mexican rice. I'm going to use my own recipe that when I make my rice. So if you guys are interested in learning how to make beef with green chili, just keep on watching. So for the chili, I went ahead and prepped everything. I usually like to put 2 red tomatoes, Roman tomatoes at that, and the big tomatillos. And then I like to use serrano peppers, which makes the chili very, very good. Doesn't taste too hot. I usually put like about a good handful. I went ahead and rinsed everything. My preference is I like to boil it and then blend it. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up with some water and get it to boil. Okay, so now that I put my water, I'm going to go ahead and throw it on the stove and get it to boil. Okay, so now that I put the chilies to boil, I did this off camera. I am making some homemade beans. Now, for my beans, I usually like to put onion in it. That way you don't get that nasty effect of, they call it the farts. So that to me is a good little Mexican theory, if you want to say. So I have that already boiling, which is very simple. But once it's done boiling, I'm gonna go ahead and get them fried up, and then I add some chili in it. Now I'm gonna move on to my rice. A cup of rice. I rinse it and get it ready. Now that it's pretty dried from being cleaned and rinsed out, I'm going to start frying it. Let's put some oil. I don't put too much, but I put good enough amount to fry up the rice. The way I make my Mexican rice is I use 1 tomato, a slice of onion, not the whole thing, just a slice from it, and 1 garlic clove. I'm gonna go ahead and get my rice mix started. I'm gonna add everything in the blender. I got my garlic clove in there. I usually like to cut my tomato in half. That way it could blend pretty good. My onion slice. And okay, so now that I have my rice in here, I'm gonna just stir it up pretty good. Now, I only put a little bit of oil in it. So it's from the looks of how it's looking, I'm gonna add just a little bit more. So now that I have my water added to my little Mexican rice mix, I'm gonna go ahead and get this blended.
Cooking it up.
Okay, once it's done blending, this is how your liquid should look. So what I gotta do is just get all this rice fried up so it's a nice, beautiful golden color. As of right now, I got my rice frying up, got my chili, trying to get it to a boil. I got my beans cooking. It's very important that you guys constantly stir up your rice and don't let it just sit there and get burnt, because once you let it get burnt and it carries that burnt taste with the rice, you definitely do not want that type of rice. Now that my rice is getting to that perfect, I can't tell if you can see it good, it's getting to like a perfect golden brownish color, I'm gonna go ahead and get my sauce that I made in here and get it started. Cool. So here it is. Unfortunately, guys, I do not measure how much water goes into here. I eyeball it and I put it to my liking. So what I do after I pour that, I fill this up with some more water. And what I like to do, so I like to add tomato bouillon. I add very little just to give it that beautiful red color. So again, no measurements. I just eyeball everything because what a creep. I usually put that much. I don't put too much. And now I go in with my chicken bouillon and I about fill up this right here, throw it in there, mix it up in here so it's nice and dissolved. I add water till again, I don't measure, it just naturally comes to me. So I like to get a spoon and taste test to see if I'm happy with the flavor of it. So let's see. Okay, my opinion, it's a little flavorful, but it can use a little bit more of my chicken bouillon. Now, the more of this you put, the saltier it gets. So go little by little, taste test it every time till it's to your liking. I like it to have a good flavor, but not extremely salty either. Let me rinse my spoon and clean it real quick and do another. Okay, so let's taste test this. It's very delicious. Again, a little bit more, just a little bit. I'm only gonna do just literally like a little sprinkle. Okay, so now that I have this done, I'm gonna go ahead and put the top on it and keep it covered until it starts boiling. When it starts boiling, I'll get back on here and show you guys what I normally do. I just eye it. If I feel like it's not cooked enough looking, when the water kind of starts to dissolve, what I go ahead and do is I add a little bit of more water. Switch it over here and keep it on high till it starts boiling, then put it on, well actually I put it on medium. So now that I have my meat unpacked, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it on medium. I'm gonna go ahead and get this stirred up and seasoned. Now when I season my meat, I personally like using some Lawson season and some garlic, salt, and I throw in a little bit of pepper. Once you see your chili boiling, you go ahead and turn off the heat, and then I let it cool down, and then once I get this meat prepped, I'm gonna go ahead and continue on with my chili. So now that I'm gonna get ready to make my chili, I went ahead and washed my blender from the tomato. I'm gonna get because they're small, 2 pieces of small garlic clove, but if you have a big one, just preferably 1. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my chilies out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab everything that's in here and throw it in the blender. Everything is nice and soft. Be careful on how long you have this boiling for the fact that tomatillos do When they get super soft, they break out. So I caught it in perfect timing. So it's still in good pieces, but it's very soft. So now that we got that, you always have to add salt to your chili. I like to put just a tad bit of garlic salt for some little, you know, flavor. Just a little bit, not too much. And then I'm gonna get some regular salt. I eyeball it. I just put a little bit. I don't really like salty flavor. Okay, so now that I got the salts added, use the water that you use for your tomatoes. Mind you, I cleaned everything before boiling it. I personally get this water and throw a little bit in here. Well, not a little bit, like almost like that much. So now that I got everything in here, I'm gonna go ahead and get it blended. Okay, now that the chili is complete, here is the final look of it. It's very hot, but it's like a delicious green serrano chili. And this will be my chili for the meat. So I don't throw it in until the meat is completely cooked to my desired liking. As of now, the beans are boiling. The rice is starting to pick up a little boil. I'm looking at it, it still has a good amount of water in it. Try to avoid looking at your rice as much as possible. That's why I prefer to cook with a see-through glass, so I can avoid lifting it up and letting that heat release. I just peeked into it right now, and you see how there's still water in it and it's boiling a little. Just until you see the water completely gone and you notice the rice is a little bit not cooked, I go ahead and add just a bit. So we'll get back to that and go from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and add literally just like a little bit of water to it. Just a little, not too much, nothing crazy. Now once I see it go down a little bit, I like to leave a little bit of moist, like keep it a little moist, and I turn the heat off and let it finish cooking itself. So it's not to that point yet, but once it gets there, I'll show you, and that way you guys can kind of follow the steps. Now just checking on the meat. The meat is all not finished yet, but now that it's starting to get to this like a nice brown color and cooked up pretty good, I like to fry it a little bit once all the juices dissolve. And I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and start adding my onions to it. Okay, so now that I have my onions added, I'm gonna get everything stirred up. Looking at the rice, it's almost, the water is almost gone, so I'm gonna keep it covered, turn off the heat. I'm gonna let it cook itself. With that way, you don't burn the bottom of your rice, and it's got a good flavor still. Okay, so now let's check on the meat. All of the juices are completely gone. It's actually frying it up. Now that I have the meat pretty fried up and to my liking, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the green chili that I made. Mind you, there was no oils on the bottom. This was a very non-fattening meat with no fat pieces. So there's a little bit left. What I like to do is get the remaining water from when I boil the chili. I just put a little bit of water around it. Mix that up and throw it in there. There we have it, our yummy and tasty chili verde with the beef. Got the onion pieces in here as well. So I like to let this boil for a little bit. And once I have it boiling, that's my cue. It's nice and cooked and ready. So when I do my beans, I like to add a little bit of oil. I'm gonna start grabbing some of my beans. So I put like a good amount in here. And once it's to a good amount of being fried up, I go ahead and go back to my beans and add the juices. Okay, so while I have them frying up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a serrano pepper. I'm literally just gonna slice it long ways. And once I have it all smashed, and what I like to do is just throw in the sliced pieces in there after it's all nice and smashed up, and it gives it like a good spice. I forgot to save some of my green chili to throw in there, so I'm gonna give it that spice still. Okay, so now that the beans are frying up, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of the juices in it and get to smashing. Let me get some juice. Now I'm gonna get to smashing. Okay, now I got it all smashed up. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on low and get the sliced up. So I cut it up like this. I like to leave the seed in because, again, I like to have that little kick to it. Go ahead and throw them in there. Now, because I don't like beans dry, I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit more juices in here. Add it in there and let it boil, not boil, but let the heat on low and let it sit for about, on low, for about 1 minute. That way the chili can get nice and soft in there. And voila, there it is. Bon appetit. Okay, so now that everything is completed, here is the finished product. And it is all ready. I also left some, you know, de la olla, frijoles de la olla in here because my husband prefers it that way sometimes. I made smashed beans, added some serrano peppers, fresh Mexican rice, and the meat, chile verde with the beef. I hope you guys all enjoyed this tutorial. And if you guys have any cooking suggestions on what else you guys would like me to cook, comment down below and let me know, and I will be more than happy to. Thank you all for watching. Please thumbs up this video and please subscribe to my channel.